There comes a moment when the rhythm of the world falls out of sync with the breath of life. This moment is not marked by chaos alone, but by a deeper silence, a kind of stillness that feels cold, distant, unfamiliar. That silence arrived on July 7, not as a random event, but as a consequence long in the making. A secret was unveiled, but not to punish, not to destroy. It was unveiled to bring humanity to a place it had forgotten. The inner world. This warning was not cast down from the clouds, it rose up from within, like the pressure beneath the earth that eventually breaks the mountain apart. The final warning is not something imposed, it is something awakened. And it speaks not to the eyes, but to the soul. When the connection between the inner and outer world is severed, what follows is not merely discomfort, it is collapse. Collapse of meaning, collapse of integrity, collapse of direction. Humanity has walked a path paved with ambition, powered by intellect and justified by convenience. Yet, in this pursuit, something essential was left behind. That essential is not an object, it is not a doctrine, it is a presence. A still awareness that once guided the ancient ones, the prophets, the sages. When this presence is forgotten, the mind grows loud, the heart grows numb, and the soul grows restless. On July 7, the world did not just witness a shaking in the external world, it witnessed a cracking of the illusion that has long kept people trapped in noise and numbness. The real catastrophe is not war, not fire, not famine. The real catastrophe is when man ceases to listen to the sacred signals inside him. The whisper of truth becomes irritating. The discomfort of conscience becomes inconvenient, and so, step by step, humanity has moved further away from the source. When a tree forgets its roots, no matter how high it claims, it is still destined to fall. Likewise, when society forgets its center, it is only a matter of time before structures built with precision crumble because they were not built with wisdom. This is the disconnection. It is not only spiritual, it is emotional, it is mental, it is physical. One does not need to look far to witness it. A child glued to a screen, unable to meet the gaze of another. A man chasing status without a moment of stillness. A woman walking in beauty but carrying the ache of being unseen, unheard, misunderstood. The disconnection is everywhere, and it has become normal. But the secret revealed on that day was that this normal is not natural. And what is not natural cannot be sustained. You cannot violate the laws of balance and expect harmony. You cannot silence the soul and expect peace. Heaven's final warning came not as a scream, but as a shiver. The kind that moves through the bones before a storm. The kind that calls you to shelter, not from the weather outside, but from the emptiness inside. And in this silence, there is still a chance to return. Not to go backward in time, but to step inward in truth. The temples are not made of stone, they are made of attention. Wherever you place your sincere awareness becomes sacred. But how many still know how to do this? How many can sit still without reaching for something to distract? How many can walk without rushing, speak without defending, breathe without fear? When the connection to the inner world is broken, people begin to act out their pain. Words become weapons. Relationships become transactions. Nature becomes a resource to exploit, and faith becomes either a memory or a market. This disconnection is subtle but deadly. It does not appear as a single catastrophic event. It appears as small compromises that add up. A man lies to protect his pride. A leader chooses profit over people. A child grows up without hearing the sound of real silence. These are not accidents. These are the signs. July 7 came not to destroy, but to expose. It pulled back the curtain. It showed the consequences of forgetting. The weather, the unrest, the anxiety that spreads like wildfire. These are not punishments. They are reflections. And if one has the courage to see clearly, they will realize this is not the end. This is a moment of choice. To remember or to continue forgetting, to return or to keep running. The message is not in the sky, it is in your breath. It is in the still point beneath your thoughts. It is in the space between action and reaction. But if you do not slow down, you will miss it. And to miss it now may be to miss it forever. This is not to instill fear, it is to awaken responsibility. Each human being is not a bystander in the drama of the world. Each human being is a participant. Every thought creates a ripple. Every intention leaves a trace. You cannot heal the world by shouting into it. You heal it by aligning with it. With the breath. With truth. With simplicity. But simplicity is rare in a world that rewards complexity. Silence is rare in a world that fears the truth it might reveal, and stillness is rare in a world addicted to motion. Yet it is in stillness that the true power resides. And yet, it is in stillness that the true power resides. The power to see clearly, to feel deeply, to choose wisely. That was the gift of the unveiling. Not a threat, but a light. A light that burns away the unnecessary. A light that shows the way home. And the path is not far. It is here, now, beneath your feet, in your chest, in your breath. It only reclaims one thing: presence. Not as a practice, not as a performance, but as a way of being. To eat with awareness, to walk with reverence, to speak with care, to rest with humility. This is the call, and the warning is only needed because too few have answered. But it is not too late. The shaking can be the beginning of the awakening. The disruption can be the doorway to devotion. The collapse can be the birth of clarity. If even one person remembers, a seed is planted. To grab a piece of paper, and from that moment, seed is planted. And if that seed is watered with sincerity, it will grow into a tree whose roots reach into heaven and whose branches offer shade to the weary. July 7 unveiled the secret so that the choice could be made, not by fate, but by you. Return to the inner world. Let your soul hear what the noise tried to cover, and in doing so, become the answer to the very warning that heaven gave. There is a truth that hides in plain sight, a truth so simple, so powerful that the mind, in its endless hunger for complexity, often overlooks it. On July 7th, this truth was not invented or newly formed. It was unveiled. It was always there, waiting beneath the distractions, the fear, the noise. It was waiting to be remembered. But to remember, the old layers had to be stripped away, not with violence, but with clarity. Not with force, but with light. Sometimes it takes the breaking of a structure to reveal the emptiness it concealed, and sometimes it takes the trembling of the world to awaken what has been dormant within. The secret that was revealed was not a prophecy written in ancient symbols, but a realization etched into the very design of life. that everything outside is a mirror of what lies within. And when the world fractures, it is not to destroy you, but to reflect what must be healed. This unveiling is not something reserved for mystics or saints. It is accessible to every human being. It lives in every breath. It speaks through every moment of silence. But to hear it, one must first be willing to listen. And to listen, one must quiet the chaos that has been mistaken for life. Most people today do not live, they react. They chase, they accumulate, but they do not sit. They do not feel, they do not observe. The unveiling on July 7 was not a declaration of doom, it was a mirror held before humanity's face, asking the question, can you see who you have become? To walk blindly is to live in illusion, and illusions can be beautiful, but they are not real. They can comfort, but they cannot sustain. The moment truth arrives, the illusions must fall, and with them falls the false identity, the artificial strength, the fabricated purpose. What remains is raw, it is quiet, but it is real. That reality, though frightening at first, is where the power begins. The power to choose, the power to shift, the power to align. Heaven's final warning is not punishment. It is mercy. The mercy of being brought back to what matters before it is too late. The world you see, its conflict, its confusion, its corruption, is not separate from you. It is connected to your thoughts, your choices, your state of being. Its conflict, its confusion, its corruption is not separate from you. It is connected to your thoughts, your choices, your state of being. Every human being is not a passive observer of global events. Each one is a thread in the tapestry. Pull one thread in anger and another trembles in sorrow. Nurture one thread in peace and the whole fabric softens. The unveiling showed that there is no separation between inner and outer, between self and world. What you heal inside, you heal outside. What you ignore inside manifests as crisis in the world around you. The question is no longer what is wrong with the world. The question is what is asleep in me that allows this to continue? What fear am I feeding? What lie am I living? What truth am I avoiding? These questions are the beginning of awakening. They do not offer comfort, but they offer freedom. And freedom is not the absence of limits. It is the presence of understanding. When you understand the truth of your nature, you no longer fear the storm. You see it as the necessary purification, the breaking that allows the light to enter. July 7 was not a beginning or an end. It was a moment of unveiling. A moment where the noise paused just long enough for the whisper of heaven to be heard. That whisper said, return. Return not to the past, but to the essence. Not to the tradition, but to the truth behind it. Not to the ritual, but to the presence that gives the ritual meaning. You do not need to travel to a distant land to find the sacred. You only need to go inward with sincerity, with humility, with patience. The journey inward is not easy. It requires honesty. It requires discipline. It requires surrender. But in that surrender, there is great strength. Because what you surrender is not your freedom. It is your false identity. You let go of what is heavy so that you may rise. You release what is broken so that you may heal. You die to the illusion so that you may live in the truth. This is the invitation that was given on that day. Not to wait for someone to come and fix the world, but to realize that you are the one you are waiting for. Every human heart holds a key to stillness, a key to clarity, a key to peace. But if the heart is clouded with fear, poisoned by resentment, or hardened by pride, that key cannot be turned. The unveiling revealed that the time for delay has passed. The window is still open, but it is narrow. It is not enough to speak of change. One must embody it, not through grand gestures, but through consistent presence, through living each moment with integrity, with compassion, with awareness. The final warning is not a threat, it is an invitation to stop running, to stop blaming, to stop pretending, and to start remembering. Remembering that you are not separate from the earth, from the sky, from each other. You are not just a person with a name and a role. You are a living expression of life's mystery. And when you align with that mystery, you become whole. And a whole human being does not destroy. A whole human being heals. So this is the secret, that the shaking was never meant to break you. Your shaking doesn't show your part. Your shaking is never meant to break you. It was meant to awaken you. The collapse was never meant to crush you. It was meant to humble you. The silence that followed was not empty, it was sacred. And in that silence, something still speaks. Something ancient, something eternal. The voice that speaks not in words but in knowing. And that voice is calling now, not to the world, but to you. Will you answer? Will you return? Will you awaken? The choice remains. But the time to choose is not endless. The unveiling came as a gift, and gifts, when ignored, do not remain forever. So breathe, listen, remember. What was hidden has been revealed. The path is clear, but it must be walked, not by the many, but by the one who sees. That one is you.